America, representing London region. Please give a big round of applause for Stephen Moore.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You really okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got something for you. Something for you to do. Stems from when I was at school. My mother gave me this book called The Ragged Trousered Philanthropist. Couldn't really pronounce it then either. In this book, the main protagonist, our hero, Owen, the painter, he's got a young family and he's struggling to make ends meet. One day, he's reading the local paper, and in the local paper there's this man who's in pretty much the same situation as he is in the town. They both love their sons dearly, and the guy in the paper, he takes his son to one side and then he slits his throat. He then takes his wife and he slits her throat. Finally completes the act by slitting his own throat. The real clincher is Owen, our hero, actually considers this as a viable option. As a kid, that just freaked me out. I saw my parents as a source of safety and of security. How could anybody in that position possibly commit such an act? But it must have been something that happened in the old days. It doesn't happen anymore, and so I locked it away, put it in the back of my head. I grew up, got a job, and I got my own family. Started my own family, 2 great little kids. Then summer 2010, I had the same experience again. Father of 2, same as me. Struggling financially, same as me. Even went to the same holiday resort as me. And his relationship with his wife was on the rocks. The same as me. Killed his kids. That really scared me. How do I prevent that from happening to my kids? The real clincher was that everybody that knew him said that it came as a complete surprise. He was a fantastic father. He was a doting father. But that's what they say about me. I got truly scared. So I had to do some research, dig a little deeper, find out what's going on here. And what I found was that this act is known as filicide. And it happens in the UK every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, the father wipes out his family. And the most common denominator is money. Money problems. So it's got to be getting worse. We're a funny lot in this country. We just can't mention to friends and family that things have gone wrong. Might be okay to mention to a friend about a sexually transmitted disease, but we can't mention that we've missed a credit card payment. As a bailiff, I took people's belongings away to sell to cover their debts. The amount of spouses I came across that didn't know that their family was in trouble until they saw the family car on the back of one of my tow trucks. It was such a regular that these spouses didn't even tell each other what was going on. So what are we going to do to keep our little princesses and our little soldiers around a bit longer? Well, this is what I want you to do. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a relative, or simply somebody you haven't spoken to for a while. Ask them, are you okay? No, really. Are you okay?
Stephen, thank you. Please help me welcome to evaluate Stephen's speech, Terry Brock.
Stephen, you've taken a risk. You stood up, and when we were in a very light-hearted, fun mood, you brought in a very heavy subject. And that's what speaking is about. There's all kinds of different subjects that we're going to address. And so I thought that the way that you came in, you were approachable. I would say to accentuate that even more. And also to illustrate that be in the moment. Because in the moment, we were very happy. I mean, after Christmas presentation, we're very jovial. It's a fun thing. We're laughing and good. And then all of a sudden, we're hearing about people slitting throats. And I'm from America. This has been done there. I don't know. So it's kind of maybe a little more ease into like. And today, I want to talk with you about something that is very important, a serious subject. And something like that could help in the transition up there. But I like the way that you connected. I like the way that you let people know your approachability and who you were. I think that's very, very good. I would say continue to do that, being open. Are you going to be using this in a presentation where you'll be talking about some real serious issues? Yeah, because I imagine you've got some good stories from your background in the work that you've done. I would say take those stories, and there's probably a lot of wonderful messages that you can give to people, particularly in these economic times. Because right now you can say, let me tell you the story, true story of a family I encountered once. And all of a sudden you're there. And you can use this in real world applications. So I like what you're doing. I would say take that and continue to work with it. It's really looking good. I mean, when you listen to his stories, weren't you right there with him? I mean, I was right there. Well, oh my goodness, all this stuff happening. And it was a pretty heavy thing. But I'd say take that, nurture it. You've got a real skill being able to do that. So stay with that. I also like the way that you were able to take some of the information that we have and put that into a way that we can really use it. So I would say take what you've got right now and then branch that over into a very much needed, right now in our times, message that's going to be delivered. Think about the times when you were using that. I would probably start with the times when you were calling away cars that there were some sad situations. Those kind of things could probably be a little bit of a softer than the knife in the throat. So I would say start with some of those, then we can handle a little bit easier on that. And you want to drop it. Well, I would say you succeeded. I would felt dropped. And so it was good. And I would say that might be good, and in a 5-minute, real quick one, it might be good to have something of where you had to take it and the little kid was crying or something in the back, and they saw that. So I think you've got a wonderful wealth of opportunities there. Matter of fact, here's something I would say from Jeannie Robertson. She's an NSA member who does a lot of speaking, a lot of humor. Develop the Jeannie's Journal. Start writing things down. Go back to your background and start thinking of what worked and stories and things that happened. Write them down and then take issues that people are dealing with right now and see how you can link those together. You'll really be able to help people out with that. So, good job, buddy. Thanks.
I like you, Stephen. I like you. He's just, you can tell that he's very loving. You're kind of a bleeding heart type, kind of wear your heart on your sleeve, and I love that about people and about you. I would recommend that you make sure that you can tell a story without getting choked up. In the U.S., we call this doing therapy on your audience. You want to make sure that you're past it enough to the extent that it doesn't bother you emotionally at a guttural level when you tell it. Because then we feel like hugging you, and we're not listening to the message behind it. Does that make sense? My father was a philosopher. He is a philosopher, and he always used to say when he taught at the Air Force Academy, tell him what you're going to tell him, and then tell him what you told him. So when you got up here, I had no context of where you were going with any of this. So I would have loved to have seen a setup, even your line where you said, people don't really connect with one another anymore. versus, you know, and you had a nice circular construction there at the callback. I just kind of didn't understand where you were going in your 5 minutes. So a little quick setup about what we can expect for you, I think might have been helpful to give us a framework so that our brains could kind of wrap ourselves around it. I think that was what. Yeah, you know, I agree with Terry. The jail thing was very hard for me to hear, and there's a difference between, I think, connecting emotionally and having shock value. And I don't. For me, that was very shocking, and I would love to. I was like, oh, tell me more about that. You know, in your background. So I think even opening up with a story about being that bailiff would be really powerful, and then connecting your point, which I think is an excellent point, to your story. That's all I have.
We've reached the 5 minutes for the feedback. That's okay, but I know that if Janelle and Graham have some thoughts, they can share those with Stephen afterwards. Absolutely.